Hi class, I hope that you're all having a really great day today. So today what we're going to be learning about is Piaget's theory of cognitive development. And what I want you to know by the end of this discussion is to really be able to describe how Piaget views the way that children think and how children actually go on and develop new cognitive skills. So we're going to be talking about things like continuity versus discontinuity in Piaget's theory, as well as his understanding of how children are really starting to think about the world by looking at concepts of assimilation, accommodation, and schemas. We're also going to talk about different ages and different types of techniques that Piaget was using to learn a little bit more about childhood thought processes that are going on. So one of the things that we should know is that those enduring childhood things that we talked about at the beginning of the class are also going to make a comeback in some of these ways that we understand what children are thinking and knowing about. So we're going to address three big theories that are out there. We're going to talk about Piaget, we're going to talk about information processing, and sociocultural models. And in all of these, they're all going to describe things like nature versus nurture, or nature and nurture combined together. And some of them are going to reflect continuity versus discontinuity, and as well as the active child. We're also going to focus in on like how change occurs when we talk about information processing, and in that sociocultural model, how does our social world and culture actually affect change in children. So who we're going to talk about though today is Jean Piaget. He's a Swiss psychologist, and one of the things that he was doing was working with Theodore Simon and Alfred Binet, trying to do the first intelligence testing. And what Piaget was really interested in was actually how, not just how children think, but what those thinking errors can tell us about how children are learning about the world. So he was really interested in the mistakes that children are making and how that can tell us about what children know and what children will later on learn how to know. So for example, Piaget would be interested in something like why babies don't look for a toy when it's out of sight. And so this might tell us a little bit more about how babies are able to learn about their object permanence, so whether or not they actually believe that the toy still exists. So the way that Piaget really thinks about things is he views children as being very active in their knowledge making. And he says that this all starts very much at birth. So even when we first come into the world, children are learning, children are experiencing the world, and they're doing a whole lot of things to help them learn more. And both their mental and their physical activity will contribute to their childhood development. So we can think of children as this little bit of a scientist, right? They're starting to construct their own type of knowledge about the world. So when we're talking about that physical and mental activity, right? If you remember from one of our first classes, we talked about like babies being able to kick kick a string, kick their feet to make a mobile move. And this is what we mean by children actively constructing, right? That child is now learning a little bit more about how objects work in the world. They're learning a little bit more about the things that their body can do to actually affect change. So Piaget was really all about this kind of constructivist model. Children are constructing knowledge in many different ways.